I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Amanda Wick. She is founder and CEO at the Association for Women in Crypto. Amanda, wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm very eager to talk with you, but before we do that, just a quick note to our viewers. This interview is for informational purposes only. The NYSE doesn't recommend any investments or investment strategies. All right, so Amanda, starting a nonprofit, it's an odd choice for a former federal prosecutor. What made you do it?
I get that question a lot. I had moved from the government into the private sector back in 2020, and there were a lot of women in crypto in the government. We saw each other all the time. And then when I went to the private sector, you would have thought there were no women. They just weren't as profiled. The treatment wasn't as equitable. And so we started a group called Women in Crypto at Chainalysis, the company that I went to. And then we had these speaker series. Women were coming from all over the world. And we realized that there was a community here that was looking for something. And so when I left the Hill last year, I decided to build a nonprofit that was both a professional association and an advocacy association to both advocate for our members that are exceptional women, both rising and who are titans in the industry, and also just for the greater industry so that you guys would know who these women are, because the world should, and it's not as easy for them as it is for men.
All right, so tell me, why an association for women in crypto? Isn't crypto polarizing right now?
It is. I will say we chose the name back in the bullish times, but I will also say there is a future to this. And cryptocurrency is frequently thought of as just the funds and just the money transfer aspect, but it's often lost that it's also an incredible technology with a lot of potential. And so we kept the name because first, it's cryptocurrency, blockchain, and Web3. So we're not just for women in crypto. We're also not just for women. We welcome male allies. We have some phenomenal male allies in the group and who support us as sponsors. But the concept of cryptocurrency isn't just the money. And we need to understand that what powers that is also a phenomenal blockchain technology. And people who are objective, and I put myself in that category, know that yes, there are downsides to crypto that we need to be absolutely aware of and discuss. But there's also a ton of potential there for innovation. And I think right now there's a lot of concern about whether the US is going to capitalize that. And so we decided to keep the name because we want to make sure that that innovation is capitalized on.
Now, do you think crypto will survive the storm?
I do. I'm optimistic. I will say I think it's a asterisk, yes. I think right now there's a lot of panic about what the current administration and Congress are going to do, because if you look at foreign countries, they're moving in a way that is fostering innovation while also taking into account the downsides. Whereas in the United States, it feels like you'll hear this term regulation by enforcement. I don't particularly care for that term. I think it's more accurate to say regulation by selective enforcement, which is a real problem. And I think that there are a lot of people, some of whom are here in this building, who've been advocating for years that we need more guidance, we need more clarity, and there is a pivotal moment here for the US government to do that and for this technology to really help some societal problems. It's just a question of whether the US wants to be a part of that conversation, or I think having massive regrets and an inability to change things if they miss that train and lose this Web3 war in the next decade, which I think everybody would find a travesty.
All right, well, Amanda, wonderful to talk with you. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk.
Thank you so much for having me.